Today, I would like to talk about sex trafficking. Perhaps many of you think that this issue is a little too sensitive. Well, I had the same opinion when I first heard about this problem. However, after doing some research and educating myself on the topic, I realized that this is not a taboo subject, but rather a very complex web of social, political, and economic issues. By definition, sex trafficking occurs when a person is forced to work in the sex industry against his or her will. To be clear, not all sex trafficking doesn't necessarily involve cross-border movement. A person can be trafficked in his or her own country. And as you can see, that this explains that not all sex workers are consenting adults. They don't enter prostitution willingly. So the girl you may see on the streets late at night or online today is not there by choice. There is a great myth that prostitutes are lazy individuals and they refuse to work to earn money. Though this may be true for a small minority, most sex workers are victims of sex trafficking. So what are the causes for sex trafficking? I would split the factors into two categories, internal and external ones. External factors are poverty, lack of education, immigration policies, fractured family, and a lack of good job opportunities. These external factors result in internal ones, more specifically psychological needs that drive people to work in the sex industry. Let me give you an example. I have recently read a story about a girl I would refer to as Anna. Anna's mother was a sex worker, and she started prostituting Anna when Anna was just younger than 12. Anna didn't know any better. She grew up in a world where the people around her earn a living by selling their bodies. She just wanted to be a good daughter and was willing to do anything to support for her family and make her mother proud. Day after day, she had to sleep with strangers, and her heart shattered every single time. She admitted how worthless she felt, how each day that she turned took a little bit more of her soul. She began to believe that what had happened to her became who she was, and she took it on as her identity. This principle is true for many of us, but her life consisted of being bought and sold and exploited for the lust of a stranger and the greed of a pimp. This story made me realize the sober realities of life. Why do some people have to suffer so much just because they were born in the wrong place? It is estimated that there are around 1 million women and children who are trapped in sexual slavery around the world, 200 to 300 children at risk for sexual exploitation. What's more shocking is that the average age for entry into prostitution is just 12. I thought about myself when I was 12. All I really worried about was schoolwork and getting along well with my friends. My life is a sheer privilege when I don't have to be under immense pressure to make money, and I can feel free to just be a kid and have normal life experiences. But somewhere out there, a little girl is being forced into prostitution by her own family member. She had to spend her youth living in a hellhole that nobody could imagine, being forced to sleep with dozens of men throughout her life. All she had ever known was to get it done and make her mother proud. And even if she did escape the situation, it would take years to break free from the chains of psychological imprisonment, for her to find a renewed sense of identity, for her to have a self-worth, for her to be able to make a decision over her future. The tragic and heartbreaking stories of sex trafficking victims beg the question, how can a terrible thing such as sexual slavery be happening in our civilized society? And is there anything that we can do to help these victims? I'm very glad to say yes, there are things that we can do to help ameliorate the situation. First, we need to educate ourselves on the topic so that we can identify trafficking victims. Try to call law enforcement if you suspect trafficking. Of course, this action only has an immediate effect rather than tackling the problem at its root. If we want to end modern-day slavery, it's better to confront the issues of demand. Okay.